Hello, everybody out there reselling on eBay. This is Crystal, and this is another episode of Reseller Shop Talk. And it's pretty early in the morning, Saturday morning. I woke up, just kind of jumped out of bed, which is not normal for me. But I jumped out of bed, I checked my sales. No sales. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm moving stuff to auction. I have been listening to Nicole State and the Posh Hanger. And Nicole has always said I don't know if always is the right word, but for a while now, she has said that what she does is she moves stuff to auction to keep stuff moving in her store, and she talks about how doing auctions is a great way to keep your store active because Cassini, the search on eBay, likes to see an active store, and that will help bring you up in search and all that stuff. And I had sort of dabbled in the auctions and here and there, over the last couple years, and I just never felt like it was working for me. And then I happened to go on Posh Hanger YouTube channel, and she suggested that if you're having slow sales, one thing that you could do is you could move 10 things a day over to auction and do that for 7 days in a row. And that should increase some sales and action and activity and all that stuff. And so for the last 3 days, that's what I've been doing. And I'm using the bulk editor type of feature. In the past, when I tried to do that, I would just pick one and go into the edit field for just that one item, and it seemed like it took forever. It seemed like a pain in the butt. But that bulk editor type feature seems to really make it more efficient, so it doesn't seem so cumbersome. But it still takes a little bit of time because there's a few things that I want to change. But it's really nice, because I like to make sure that anything with free shipping is removed and make everything have calculated shipping. And I usually offer free returns on everything. So I've been changing it to buyer pays for returns on my auction items because I'm giving them away cheap, pretty much. And then while I'm doing it, there's a few things that I've made. I've done some messages that I like to add at the end of my description, so I'm sort of taking that opportunity to put that on a lot of the old listings that I'm moving over to auction. And then if they don't sell during the first 7 days, I'm going to probably run them as an auction for maybe 3 times in a row, and then I'll put them back in the store or I'll remove them altogether. I'll make that decision later, but I'll probably just put them back in the store. Because, I've done this before, and then I'm like, I'm just going to put it up at I've moved prices around, and I do a lot of clothes. So I'll be like, okay, I'm going to just put it at buy it now for $5.99 with calculated shipping, and nobody buys it. Then I put it on auction for $1.99. and nobody buys it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it on $12.99 and see what happens. And then somebody buys it after some time. So not that happens with everything and you never know, but it's it's like the old saying. I had this girlfriend, she used to get stuff all the time, let's just say. And she used to always say, you can't get what you don't ask for. And I always thought that she kind of had a lot of gall or whatever in a good way. Because she just wasn't ever afraid to ask for more and get more. And, and sometimes you get it. So that's kind of why I am titling this episode of Reseller Shop Talk as sometimes you get what you're asking for. And I was going to call it You Can't Get What You Don't Ask For, but I don't like how negative that is. And, I am a student of The Secret and positive thinking and all of that kind of thing. So I turned it around into a more positive statement. Sometimes you get what you're asking for. So the cool thing is I've got like 3 sales right now that I know we're going to go through, or hopefully they're not going to cancel them at the end. But on my auctions, and I'm 3 days into this. So that would be great. I'm hoping that it'll get to the point where I'm getting like maybe 2 sales a day from the auctions, and then that will increase my sales by 60 items. And it's not so much that I'm desperate to move things out of my store, because I'm happy with the list it and forget it concept. But I do want to, increase the traffic, so I want to see if this is going to help in the long run. But I think this is something, running auctions like this is something that you need to run. You need to kind of continually do this to attract attention. And also, I have a lot of items in my store. They're not necessarily like the brands that people are looking for. It's a lot of my stuff is sort of based on style, because I just don't find Eileen Fisher every day at the bins, like some people. But I have found some good stuff at the bins, so maybe I just need to get back down there a little more often. And maybe I just need to stop, and I know I've probably said this a million times, I need to stop going, this is a really nice piece, this is really cute, but nobody is shopping for this brand, and just not get that shit. But, the stuff is so nice, and then my customers, when they do buy the stuff, they're like so happy, like, anyways, and I just, I just don't find a lot of what I like to call, what's his name? The dude that lives in Cape Cod. I don't find Cape Cod clothing, Ronnie Hart clothing. I just don't find that stuff. But you know what? He goes to estate sales. So maybe I need to get my butt into those estate sales more often. Apparently that's where he finds a lot of his good stuff. Anyways, so I'm real hopeful about this auction, so I will keep you posted about how those auctions are going for me. And I hope, I've got some other things I need to update everybody on that I said I would update people on. I'll get a little more organized on that and start doing that more in future videos. Promises, promises, promises. But anyway, so I, along the lines of sometimes you get what you're asking for. Okay, while I'm still sort of buying things in my old way that aren't necessarily bringing in a lot of money for me in the end, yet, I guess. I have been really trying to focus on buying things that I can just sell for more money rather than keep flipping $12, $15, $20 clothing items. And so last fall I went to an auction and I got this Enid Collins. It's like a 1950s, 1960s purse. And let's see if you can see the handle here. It's got a handle. It's real stiff. Woo. It's not in too bad a shape, but if it was in way better shape, I probably could have gotten a lot more money for it, but I don't know. I'm thrilled with what I got. So I ended up paying $15 for this. There were two of them. One had a car on it, and somebody else bid up on the car one. And I had seen comps of one with car on it sell for kind of high, or like over $50 or around $50. It could have been $75. I can't remember because it was last March. I had seen that sell on eBay. And I hadn't seen any gazelles sell, but I don't remember actually seeing any gazelles even listed. So I wasn't too worried about winning one or the other, or I felt like both of them would have been a good investment with the right price. So the other one got bid up to something like $25, and I really didn't have a lot of money to source with at the time either, and so I was like, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to, go past 20. And the other person did, so I said, you can have it, in my head. And, but this one I got at 15. So I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. So I put it up for $69 with calculated shipping. And then, of course, I run sales. If you watch my videos, I've mentioned it a few times. And I might have like maybe a 1-day overlap where things are not on sale, and quite often one or two things will sell at my higher price. This one did sell at a sale price, so I got 26% off on this. I ended up getting a little over $60 with shipping. Excuse me. And I believe the shipping will probably be around $10 to $12. It's going to New York. I'm in Phoenix. And of course, people in New York, New Jersey, those kind of, that northern East Coast area, invariably tend to buy my groovy vintage shit. I don't even want to call it shit. My groovy vintage art pieces. So, East Coast. Gotta love them. And so I'm real excited because I feel like I got what I asked for, and I really didn't have to wait that long. It's about 6 months. And what? It just sat there. Like, it's not like it was in the way or anything. Like, it was totally worth waiting 6 months to sell this for $60 on a $15 investment. Now, maybe I'm only, I haven't added up the total because I don't have the final shipping, but that's a good $25 I made on this. And I don't make $25 net on any one item very often. So for me, that's good. Now, everybody talks about how all that stuff is like a dime a dozen, but I feel like it is not. Like, I could spend 2 hours in a thrift store and find 3 things that maybe I could make $20 on. Like, I just don't find stuff. But, when you find it, you find it. And that wasn't thrifted. Okay, but hey, sometimes you get what you're asking for, and you're not going to get what you don't ask for. And there were a couple times where I thought on this, maybe I should just lower that price and get it to move. But I'm like, no, I'm going to hold out. This one I'm real happy with, and I was doubtful. This is a Laredo Toomey brand briefcase. It's actually in pretty darn nice condition. I think it's beautiful. And I got it on Craigslist with a lot of other designer men's satchels and luggage. there were two things that were pretty good out of there, and this was the only one I've even listed so far. I had all this stuff that I was going to list, and it was like next in the queue to list. And then this girl that I have been sort of wooing, I guess you could say, to come and work for me, finally called. And so I sort of put off getting all of this luggage, handbag, just stuff that I bought listed. And because I've been working with her the last couple weeks, and she's working out pretty good. So I'm probably going to be doing another episode where I talk more specifically about that experience. And so this one, I just went and bought the stuff because she was asking really low price for all of these Toomey suitcases and stuff, luggage. And so I just hopped in my car and went on over there, and I've never sold Toomey, but I had heard it was good. And so I went home and I went and did a bunch of research, and I was like, whoa, there's a ton of Toomey shit listed and a ton of these briefcases listed, and they were selling all over the place. Some of them for like $20 or $25. I'm like, $25? That's Toomey. Like, those are supposed to be expensive. Why are people selling them for $25? And I'm like, well, I'm listing mine for more. And I did some extra research. I spent an extra half an hour or whatever it took me to figure out what the name of this is. And I frankly think that's what made the difference. And it took me a while. And I'm not even really 100% sure what this is, but I'm probably 99% right. There's a 99% chance that I am right, that this is the Laredo. What's called the Laredo. And it's pretty clean. It comes with the strap. So that's kind of nice. And this went to New Jersey. And it sold for just under $100 with shipping. So, and I think, I divided, I think I marked this as I had paid like $10 for this, basically, if you divide up, I think I bought about 6 things for $60. So I paid like $10 a piece for all of this designer luggage, handbaggy, men's handbag type things. Now, there's a couple things I'm not sure going to sell because one of the Toomey suitcases is really trashed. Anyways, and it's big, and I don't know if I even want to bother putting it on eBay, so I might just move it on Craigslist and offer up or something and move that real cheap or just get my money back for it. Anyways, if I can, because people in Phoenix might not even know about this. Like, if I lived in New Jersey or something and I listed stuff to me on Craigslist or offer up, like, I would probably have a bunch of buyers. Here in Phoenix, I just don't know how many people are shopping around for Toomey suitcases. But maybe there are. Who knows? Or maybe if I lived on the other side of town, I kind of live on a side of town that is challenged, let's just say, but it's really lovely here, actually. So anyways, so again, sometimes you get what you're asking for. I could have said, I could have said, you know what, it doesn't look good, I'm just going to put it at one of the lower prices, and I could have not put any effort out, but I put the effort out. I ran halfway across town to pick this up. I'm like, I am putting this up for something, a good return. So I am thrilled because this is probably my second best thrifted, or it's up there on that level. I don't thrift a lot of things that I can sell for $100. I've thrifted 2 other things that I sold for, or Craigslist. Thrifted and Craigslisted 2 things that I sold for $100. Quite a few things that I've flipped for $80 that I got for somewhere between $10 and maybe $25, and then flipped for $80. So this one's up there, I guess, with that $80 one because after shipping. But anyway, so I'm just really thrilled to wake up and not have sales, and then I'm sitting there putting stuff on auction. Oh, I think that's what I started to say earlier, and I didn't quite finish the story. I'm sitting there putting stuff on auction. I hear a cha-ching. I'm like, okay, what is it? And I'm like, oh my God, that Toomey bag sold for $100. I needed that. That's a great way to start my day. And same thing with this. This one sold yesterday, right first thing in the morning. I'm like, that's a great way to start my day. I want to start my day every day like that, with one of my higher priced items selling first thing in the morning. That is just the best. Okay, so yes, people get what you ask for. I'm telling you, sometimes you do, and sometimes it's just worth holding out. Now, another thing I've been asking for along these same lines is an assistant, like for a good year and a half. Since I pretty much got started with this, I had envisioned getting somebody else involved. And I've just been holding on to that idea and getting ready for it, preparing for that. And I had asked this girl that worked at the gas station. She said she needed to make extra money. I'm like, hey, come and I'll show you how to sell stuff on eBay, and, you know, I could probably have you work for me on the side and you can make some extra money. And she never called me, but then she finally quit her job, and then all of a sudden she called me. And I had actually, the funny thing is I had just sort of let go of the idea. I'm like, you know what, yes, that is what I want. It's not like I'm letting go of that desire and that ultimate goal, but I'm really like not going to plan for it or put any effort out to get somebody in for a while, I had told myself. I mean, I had really sort of let go of the idea, and then that's when it comes to you. It's that whole idea. That's probably another title this could have been. When you let go of something, it comes back to you, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So that's kind of what happened with my assistant, and she's working out pretty good so far, I think. So it's just really a matter of putting stuff up that sells to make it worth paying her. So we'll see how that goes. But it is a little scary to start paying out for that. Now, toward the end of March, my sales had dropped down to under $1,000, and I was like, oh God, I gotta get back to work. Because the first 3 months of the year, I really didn't list hardly anything. Like, I think I might have mentioned it in another video, and I don't, at the time, it was more fresh in my memory, but I think I had listed maybe 25, 30 things over the course of 3 months, from January to March, like the best months possible. Like, my dad was in the hospital, his rental property renters moved out, and I just had to spend a bunch of time just doing stuff for him. And I could have probably stopped and said, you know what, even though all this shit's going on, I need to make sure to keep listing things or whatever, but I didn't. It was just nerve-wracking, I guess. And just, you just get in your mind, oh my gosh, I have to do this. Like, I can't, it's kind of a mother thing. If you're not a mother, you might not understand how you drop everything to take care of the people you love. I don't know. Because my brothers don't really seem to understand. That's why I feel like you have to be a mother. Anyways, so yeah, I was like, oh boy. And so I have been trying, I wouldn't say that it's been like my undying, stay up all night, list like crazy and all that stuff. But I've been working toward getting my sales at least up to 2,000, and I was hoping to get up to 2,000 this month of April. And right now I'm at about 1,600, and we got 2 days left. So unless some miracle happens and I happen to sell $400 worth of stuff in the next 2 days, I don't know if I'm going to hit that 2,000 by the end of April. But hey, it's creeping up there. It's trickling up. So I'm happy every day. I look at my 30-day total and it's up from where it was the day before. So at least it's going in the right direction. You know, if I'd have said I only wanted to make 1,500, would I have only made 1,300? You know, so I'm happy with my numbers. So now for the month of May, I'd like to do 2,500 or 3,000 actually. For the month of May, I'm going for 3,000, especially now that I've got somebody working for me. I really want to hit 3,000 by the end of May. So I'm going to be really hitting it hard, and I just pray that nothing bad happens with my dad. And he is going to be going in for surgery, so I'm a little concerned, but at least now I have somebody that can be listing stuff for me if I have to take 2 or 3 days to go be with my dad or do something for him. So I think it's very possible I could do 3,000. So we'll see what happens by the end of May. And remember to ask for more, and you just might get it. And yes, you may have to wait a little while longer, but really, how much space does this really take up? You know, it's worth it. Yes, these maybe take up more space than you know, a bathing suit or, you know, that silk shirt, but in the scheme of things, it's not really that much space. So yeah, ask for it and ye shall receive. All right, everybody, go out there and make some sales. And I will talk to you later. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye.